You know, there's just some things that you have to understand about the paranormal world before you call yourself a paranormal investigator. Ahonyat, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shanclen Shadow Productions. Now, this one's going to be an episode where I need to bring to light a lot of things that a lot of people get wrong about the paranormal world as far as for like ghost hunting and everything like that. So this has been irking me for a long time, ever since I was a little kid, and all these ghost hunting shows and these YouTubers that go around to these locations miss a lot and just don't really frankly understand what's going on. Now, I understand that there's a lot of mystery to a lot of you people out there as far as for what the spiritual world is, ghosts, and just paranormal in general. There's a lot of questions out there for a lot of you people out there, and that's just something that us indigenous people, and I'm sure a lot of people around the world, as far as for different religions, already know what entails the spiritual world. Now, we used to have a ghost hunting show called Unearthing the Supernatural that I was a part of, that we would go to a lot of these locations, and whenever we would investigate, we would always use our teachings and knowledge and ceremonies that we learned for decades. And going on to it is every single investigation was in a sense a ceremony. We always went into a location to try to understand the spirits, to try to help them if they ever needed it, and to try to get rid of any darkness or evil that are in those locations. Now, that's something that right there is that understanding of what is your purpose for investigating or ghost hunting. Are you there because you're curious? Are you there for trying to get views? Are you there to just mess around and just kind of be a reference avatar here? You're going around making noise, don't know what to do, kind of thing. So that's something that, is it needs to be said, because it's sad when I see a lot of these paranormal investigator groups or these paranormal people go into these locations and they mess with spirits, they play with spirits, and it's just like a lot of them need help. And this is where I'm going to be going into this story to kind of give you a little frame of mindset of what I'm talking about. So picture you're an elderly person, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there have seen your loved ones get up there in age and they're ready to pass on into the next world. Now, for those of you out there, I'm pretty sure you've seen your elders start to see their mother, their father, their grandmother, or somebody that they loved who has already passed on. Now, when that happens, they're not delusional. They're not losing their mind or anything. That right there is their spirits, their family members coming there because they know it's their loved one's time to pass on to the next world. So they're getting their spirit ready. They're getting their body ready to go on into that next world. Now, because their time was kind of, I guess you can say, scheduled, they're passing on of natural causes. Now, if you have somebody who passes away of unnatural causes, say they die of a car crash, and their spirits and their family members in the heavens didn't know that they passed on or anything like that, that's where you get lost spirits, or someone gets killed or something like that. And a movie I like to really reference is the movie Ghosts. Really great movie. Oh, so good. Made me cry. But that's a good example of, you pass away of an untimely death. So when you pass away of your untimely death, you're looking at your body, you're kind of freaking out, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to do. And inside of the spiritual world, there's lots of dangers out there for lost souls. There could be evil beings that are out there. There could be soul merchants that take your soul and sell you onto the markets or into the slave trades. Or there's also beings out there called soul eaters that go around feasting on lost souls to make sure like the spiritual world doesn't get too cluttered. Now, imagine you're that spirit that died in that car crash. You're looking around, you're looking down the street, and you see a beast. You see an ungodly looking monster start running towards you because it picked up your scent. And you freak out and you run to the nearest house that's close by. Now, for some reason, that spiritual being, that soul eater, cannot go into that house because that home, say, will have like a cross or some other protections, whatever religion that they have, and that soul eater cannot go inside of that house. Now you're in there, you're just like, okay, this is a safe haven. I think I'm just gonna stick here and just hide out here until everything kind of blows over. And that's where you kind of get a lot of your hauntings. Is you have these lost spirits that kind of wander in your home, or you have a family member who passed away and is in the home, who kind of had an untimely death, and they're there in the home kind of just doing a normal haunting and everything. So that's where something that a lot of people kind of get wrong is, you know, that's something that kind of really irks me. Is other locations too. We even went to a place called the Bullion Plaza in Arizona, and that was an old residential school. Now this school was a school for a lot of indigenous kids and Mexican kids back in the day as well. So, and unfortunately this location did have some kids that died there, and there's a lot of boarding schools out there. I'll probably get into another video about it in the future. But when we went there, we were investigating, and we made contact with some kids, and we were doing a ceremony for a bear spirit. I remember seeing and looking at my brother, and I remember seeing his jacket get pulled by a little bit by his leg, and I was holding an Ovilus 5 and it said children. And this is where it gets kind of sad, is because, you know, you see these kids, you see these, you know, innocent spirits that were taken from their home, and who essentially died, and their spirits and their family never knew where they went.
Let's go.
It really kind of irks me when you go to these, you see these people go to these locations and these places, and they have these spirits calling for help. They need help to go into the next world or something, as far as for a form of communication, or they're being held there by a dark evil being. And you see these kids come in, you know, with their equipment and their devices, and they make things light up, and they're like, oh my God, freaking out. And then, but these spirits are pleading for help. These spirits need, you know, somebody to listen to them, to hear their story, to get them on the right path, but they just leave, you know. And when you go to these locations, you go to these places, a lot of times the spirits will know your intentions of what you're doing. And that's something that, you know, everybody out there in some form of sense knows that there's a ghost, there's spirits and everything that are out there in the paranormal world. And it's just like, all right, what's the next step? We understand and we know that there's paranormal beings out there. Us indigenous people know that, and a lot of other people around the world know that as well, whatever religion you follow. And it's just like, okay, so one thing that us indigenous people always did is we always were the balance keepers of the land and the spiritual world. I guess you could say we're the bridge between that. We're the caretakers and of the land and the spirits as well. And we try to help those beings out as much as we can. And that's something that needs to be done as far as for, you know, these paranormal groups. And I know of a lot of paranormal groups. I know of a lot of individuals in the paranormal community. I guess you can say they help spirits, and they understand that. And it's just a lot of the newer kind of generations as far as for the paranormal investigating goes. Sounding like an elder here now, but you know, but the knowledge that we have spans generations, and you know, we see it every single day. And it's just like a lot of these people it's their first time interacting with spirits, or it's their first time like validating that they know that spirits are there. And it's just like, come on, man, they've always been here. But you know, it's what's the next step? You know, how can we help these spirits? And there's also a lot of times where I see paranormal groups or people that claim to be that they're mediums, but they're not. And sometimes that we see that, going back to that story of, you know, that person that was hiding in that house because there was a soul eater outside waiting to eat them. And, you know, you have this person who does like mass cleansings of buildings and everything, and shoos and banishes out that spirit and sends it out to the soul eater for them to get eaten, because they didn't have that knowledge of pretty much investigating to know what the situation is. What spirits are you dealing with? Do they need help? Are they happy and content with being in the location they're at? Or are there darker beings that are there? And that's something that that's why I guess that's why this elders always said, don't be going around messing with these things. Don't be going around messing with ghosts or spirits or anything like that, because of those very reasons right there. If you don't know what you're doing and you're going out there to these places and doing these things, you can, in a sense, harming the spirits that are there, or harm yourself as well. Because these demons, if you don't know what you're doing, they could follow you home, or they themselves could brand you and mark you for when your time comes, they come and claim your spirit. So that's something that you have to be careful, and that's something that I see a lot of recklessness out there of these younger generations going out there and investigating, and they just go there for views. They go there for this, they go there for that. And it takes them hours, if not days, for sometimes to get communication and evidence. But the reason is because the spirits know your intention and why you're there. The spirits know that you're not there to help them. The spirits know that you're just there for views and to make money off of them. So that's why, you know, whenever we would go investigate, we would always go with the intention of trying to help the spirits through a ceremony. And we actually can, because they would see our markings, our tattoos and everything, and they see our spirit of who we are and the upbringing that we had going through all these ceremonies and learning the ways that we have. Spirits can see those markings on you. They can see that all those, your past, present, future, your thoughts, everything. They can see all that inside of you. So whenever we would go investigate, things would happen immediately. You know, and we've even collabed with people and things would happen immediately, and they're like, there's no way things happen that quick for you guys. It takes us hours to do this and that. It's just like, well, what's your intention then? Why does it take you so long for you to get evidence, to be able to communicate with spirits? Why is it so hard for you? So that right there, you're kind of telling on yourself, like, the spirits don't want to talk to you because you're not there to help them. You're just there to exploit them. And imagine being a lost spirit who cannot contact their family, cannot talk with their loved ones. And, you know, just how heartbreaking it will be to just have some people who go in to investigate these locations and try to talk to you. It's like, oh, they hear me, they understand, they can hear me. And maybe they can help me get out of here to see my family again. And they don't, you know? So it's always heartbreaking. And when we did that ceremony for those kids at the residential school, it was sad, man, because I almost started crying, because those kids don't deserve that, the little ones. And through there, you know, we did that ceremony, and my brother, in a sense, he did a ceremony to where he opened up a threshold, or the gateway, to be able to go into the next world, whatever religion you follow. And it said that on the ovulus, it said threshold. And you know, we sent those kids back to their families, and that's what it's all about right there. And, you know, to be able to help spirits to bring balance back to locations, or balance back to lands. And sometimes there's darker beings that are there that are holding those spirits hostage. And I've seen a lot of times too, where people will be like, in the name of so-and-so, you are now free from this building and you can go to the next world or whatever. But they can't go because those darker beings literally have them chained to the ground to where they can't leave. So in those senses, in those times, you have to push away those darker beings, kill them, get rid of them, and then break those chains to where those spirits can be freed. And that's just something that a lot of people just don't understand about the spiritual world, is it's that complex. It's not just a wisp of a ghost just walking by and everything. They don't have emotions. They don't have this, you know, they don't have a soul anymore. It's just a memory replaying. There's sometimes that happens, but a lot of times it's not. And you also run into spirits where they're happy and content with where they are. A good example of that is Vulture City Ghost Mine near Wickenburg, Arizona. I used to do ghost tours over there, so that location is where a lot of spirits are happy and content with where they are. They like those locations because it was their home, and they don't want to leave, and they're still happy there. You know, they have a lot of people that come and interact with them, have a good time and everything. But when I see those episodes or those videos on YouTube where people go to these places and they're like, help me, help me, help me, and there's a dark entity and they just run away. That's what breaks my heart, is like, that's somebody's mother, that's somebody's father, that's somebody's son that's lost in those places. You know, they don't deserve to be in those places. They deserve to be with their family. So that's something that we need to bring to light as well, as far as for understanding of the spiritual world. There's a lot more to it. I gave dropped a lot of spiritual beings in this episode, but those are all seeds to be planted in your mind, to let it grow, let you think about it, and just try to understand that there's a lot more to it when it comes to paranormal investigating. And I'm pretty sure, you know, all the flashing lights and gadgets and gizmos and everything, you know, are there, yes, but they're only to be used as tools to help you determine what beings are actually there and who actually need help. So I believe that's the next steps of, you know, spiritual interaction, is like, okay, how can we help these beings? How can we help them on the next steps? How can we understand them better, rather than trying to debunk if a ghost is real or not? I'm pretty sure we all know that ghosts are real or now. So yeah, just spread understanding, spread awareness to all those paranormal investigators that are out there, those younger ones, and even the TV show ones too. The only TV show one that I really respect is Ghost Town Terror and Ghost Adventures. And there's a couple other ones out there that I pretty much forgot, but I remember Ghost Adventures in the beginning episodes. They didn't really do it, but speaking with Jay Wasley, recently I spoke with him, and he was talking about how they give offerings, and I even spoke with Aaron too, how he was always giving offerings to locations as well. And a lot of times this tobacco that's right here is all that's needed for those spirits to make contact with the next worlds and to connect with their families. And sometimes, you know, I'm not saying everybody go out there and like learn how to, you know, fight demons and do all these things like we do and do all that stuff, but it's just like, you know, just even this, giving a little bit of tobacco offering is all that's needed in these locations, and just going with the right mindset, going, you know, with that and understanding, and you know, you'll help out a lot more spirits instead of just bugging them and making situations worse for them. This one was really heavy on my heart, this episode, but you know, it's understanding that needs to be brought to attention. And you know, spiritual beings and everything are very, very dear to our hearts, and we love them so much because they're our family members, they're our past relatives, and they deserve the best in the afterlife. So I just want to leave it at that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You know, thank you guys so much for enjoying my videos. I had some PC problems earlier, so I'll probably be making a video about my new PC that I got, kind of do a little bit more techier side of things. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hook on that.